So recently, the author of Percy Jackson, the book series, went to Variety to talk about the new Disney Plus series that is being developed. And they just recast all of the characters. Some of them were race swapped, and this author fully owns the fact that they look nothing like the characters he wrote about originally. And he thinks you should not only tolerate it, but celebrate the F out of it and just be so happy that the blonde white characters he wrote about years ago are now black. Yeah. Because if you don't, you're racist.
What's funny about these types of stories is what they don't seem to realize, or if they do, it just doesn't seem to resonate with them, is that dedication to the source material is what makes it a viable adaptation option. Like the fact that people are as passionate as they are about something that you wrote is what makes it even financially viable to be turned into something that could make Disney a profit. The problem becomes when you, the author, you, the person who created it, who is now, as we've talked about before, when you create art, you release it into the wild, and it is now up to that audience to decide what that means to them. Not just in how they interpret what you make, but how they interpret how it's adapted. What I don't get is the idea that they get to put it out into the world and then control what aspects of the adaptation you get to be upset or pleased by.
Yeah. If Rick Riordan never wanted the physical attributes of his characters to matter, then he would have never described their physical attributes in the books to begin with. And this isn't just a director or an actor blabbing in an interview about a TV show they're on when they don't know anything about the books. He knows his own novels inside and out. He cares about them, and he ought to care about committing them faithfully to the screen. But instead, he's attacking his own fans in favor of defending these actors who aren't even directly involved. And this already happened last year in the spring. He made this whole long blog post hitting back at the racist trolls and insisting that his character, Annabeth Chase, is the actress Leah Jeffries, who is black. Annabeth Chase is physically described as a white blonde girl, from what I understand, in Percy Jackson. I did not read these books, but that's what I've found from researching it just today. So here's what he said to everyone. This post is specifically for those who have a problem with the casting of Leah Jeffries as Annabeth Chase. It's a shame such posts need to be written, but they do. First, let me be clear, I'm speaking here only for myself. These thoughts are mine alone. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any part of Disney, the TV show production team, or the Jeffries family.
It is also fair to point out, look, don't contact these people. Don't, leave them alone.
No, of course.
Leave the young actress alone.
I feel like nobody was really sending this 13-year-old kid hate mail about her
If
race.
you were, you're not a good person.
Of course,
don't do it.
But that's not what was happening, and it's disingenuous to claim that that's what was happening in the first place. Anyway, he said, the response to the casting of Leah has been overwhelmingly positive and joyous, as it should be. She will be a role model for new generations of girls who will see in her the kind of hero they want to be. Because they have the same skin color, and that's what's really important. If you have a problem with this casting, take it up with me. You have no one else to blame. He's claiming full responsibility for the casting decisions here.
Again, he's an executive producer on this, and I don't buy that he has 100% control over that. When you are...
That's what he's claiming, at least.
But he also says, I was quite clear a year ago when we announced our first open casting that we would be following Disney's company policy on non-discrimination. I noticed that he didn't say, I asked Disney to implement a non-discrimination policy. He
said, as strong as Leah is, as much as we've discussed the potential for this kind of reaction and the intense pressure this role will bring, the negative comments she's received online are out of line. They need to stop now. He's putting his foot down to the racist trolls.
Again,
he's putting them in their place.
You are making art on a massive scale. You do not get to decide what positive or negative feedback comes in. I would love every day to be able to just make this show and have only the nice things get said about me. Wouldn't that, literally, okay, so yesterday, I'm done with the show. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm about to start editing. And like the first 2 comments are just like, the show's unwatchable without Mary. And then the second comment is just like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And then when I come back, first comment, the show is unwatchable with Mary.
Be a big boy, be a big girl. If you're this writer, accept the fact that people are going to have negative takes about what you have to say and what you're creating.
Well, it's really kind of mean-spirited to prep this girl to get bullied before it even happens. Mm-hmm. You're instilling her with a victimhood mentality before she even is known to the world for this role. So he continued, some of you have apparently felt offended or exasperated when your objections are called out online as racist. Quote, I'm not racist, you say. It's not racist to want an actor who is accurate to the book's description of the character. Let's examine that statement. You are upset, disappointed, frustrated, and angry because a black actor has been cast to play a character who was described as white in the books. She doesn't look the way I always imagined.
Now, they're not mad because she's a black actor. They're mad that she does not look the way they imagined. You're the one who's adding the part about race on there.
You refuse to believe her selection could have been based on merit without having seen her play the part. You have prejudged her. Prejudice. And decided she must have been hired simply to fill a quota or tick a diversity box. And by the way, these criticisms have come across the political spectrum, right and left.
It is not, and it never will be, the audience's job to know the talent level of past work for an actor. Yes, it helps if you know. It helps you build a career once people discover that you're a talented actor, but not wanting somebody who doesn't look like a character they want to see portrayed accurately. None of that makes it their responsibility to then go and empathize with the brunt of the work that she's done in her career. It's not their job. It's your job to make the product palatable for everyone.
He's not doing anything to lessen the backlash that this girl is supposedly getting, is really the point here.
And I do feel bad for her.
He's poisoning the water even more than it already was by writing this suffocating blog post.
And none of his explanation in any way makes a desire, like a personal desire for an accurate portrayal, both in book literature and in physical appearance, a bad thing. Mm-hmm. You don't get to pick what people get excited about when you bring something from a book to a movie or a television show. You get all of it or you get none of it.
Mm-hmm. You feel I must have been coerced, brainwashed, bribed, threatened, whatever, or as I, white male author, never would have chosen a black actor for the part of a canonically white girl.
I'll never get over the fact that they decide what is important and what
I don't think he was forced or brainwashed in anything. I genuinely believe he is this much of an ideologically loyal leftist.
And this
was his choice.
And not that it needs restating, but as people, if you watch this podcast on a regular basis, know the average race swap does not bother me the way it bothers a lot of other people. It just doesn't. I do get annoyed when they feel like they have to justify themselves. Just do it. And if you picked an actor who does when you put Samuel L. Jackson in there, you put any of these other actors in there that do a fantastic job and people don't complain, it's a lot easier to leave it be. But if you're casting someone knowing that backlash is coming because they don't have any type of portfolio that gives them, like I said, it's not the audience's job to know everything this person has worked on. It's your job to hire the best person for the role. And if the best person for the role has no past work for anyone to judge, then you better be ready for backlash. It's going to come. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen.
Well, he specifically wanted to age down the actors that were chosen for this because he didn't like how they were older teenagers in the movies that they made. But why is that so important to get right?
Right. Not the skin color.
Exactly.
I'm genuinely asking because I don't care.
These are both immutable characteristics. So he's even hitting back on hair color swapping backlash. He said about Walker Scobell, who is playing Percy in this TV show, did I care that his hair color is a different color than what is described in the book? Not at all. He just felt like Percy. He's building it up.
Here's the other thing. When he creates it, he's got that visual image that he's created himself. When somebody's reading something, they have to bring it to life based on what you wrote. Mm-hmm. you're hurting them, you're not hurting yourself. You know these characters like the back of your hand they were literally created from your own brain. If somebody's watching this, they only have the information that you presented them with. To then say that information is suddenly not important is silly. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
Now, ironically, one of the race-swapped characters is played by an actor whose name is Aryan. 17-year-old Aryan Simadri plays Grover, whose character is a 24-year-old half-human, half-goat. The books say he looks 16. Quote, does he look exactly like I describe him in the book? No, that doesn't matter. And finally, to Annabeth Chase, the daughter of Athena. This is played by the 14-year-old Leah Jeffries. Reardon said, Leah impressed me from the moment I met her. Now again, does she look like Annabeth looks in the books? No. Was that important to me? No. If anything, it was a massive benefit to broaden the cast in terms of representation. So here in his blog post from last year, he claims this had nothing to do with ticking a diversity box or filling a quota. And then in 2023, he brazenly admits that this was for representation, not about merit. Yep. So what is the truth? What is the truth, Rick? Uncle Rick, tell us. Mr. Rick, please. It's just like decide yep. what the narrative is and stick with it. But he can't help himself but just admit what he was really doing there.
I just laugh.
What his true motivations
because
were.
Even somebody like me who doesn't care about the race swapping loves to see these people handicap themselves before they even get started. Like,
the show is not even close to out yet. Yeah. They're not even, I don't think that it says they're done filming at this point because of the strike. So you've already poisoned the waters.
One of my favorite examples of how you do this better, the show Arrow, rather than race swap Tommy Merlin, and granted this is back in 2012, mm-hmm. rather than race swap Tommy Merlin, Oliver Queen's best friend, they introduced the character of John Diggle, his bodyguard, who is played by Dave Ramsey, not financial guy one. Dave Ramsey, different David Ramsey, who is black. Everybody loved that character. He eventually became his own, like a superhero in his own right, and they wrote him in, and he became a comic book character after starting out on a comic book show. And there isn't a person alive who dislikes him because of the color of his skin. Somebody might not like the character. I don't know many people that didn't like him because he was always a great check on Oliver. That's how you do it properly. I would rather you introduce new characters and broaden the scope of your adaptation than change these things.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, if you want new characters, make a new IP. You don't need to adapt everything, beat it to death like this. It's just, it takes away from this thing that was really special to a lot of people that they grew up with, that now you are kicking them.
But he's telling you you're a bad person. He's telling you you're a bad person for wanting it to be that way.
And I don't even care about Percy Jackson. I don't care. But some people do, and that's not wrong. This says, when self-proclaimed purists learned that
even that's
Scoble was blonde, Simadri was Indian American, and Jeffries was black, all hell broke loose. And not the kind overseen by Hades. Ugly sentiments poured out from the bleakest corners of the internet when Leah Jeffries' casting was announced in spring of 2022. And that is when he blurted out that awful blog post. But it's too late now for these kids to recover from that. He ruined it for them, and that's really wrong. Because they are just kids. Like, he's worsened the backlash so unnecessarily for them, and he's made them think that they're victims before they even have a chance to interact with the people that like this story and like these characters. So they asked Leah Jeffries what she thought about this. She said, it got to me for the quickest second, literally like 90 seconds, but I know that no matter how many people are going to say bad things, it's never going to be true. This sounds really weird, but I don't blame them. Those people might not know how to adapt. Me, no matter who they put in it, I would love it either way because it's just a show. It's not like I fired someone. Leah said that when they were in the middle of filming, an acting coach printed out hundreds of images of Greek characters, inviting the actors to hold on to the pictures they resonated with. And Leah said, "None of these people look like me." In their next session, he brought her an image of a dark-skinned woman with long black hair and flames in her eye sockets, wearing an intricate golden crown. She went, "Yeah, that's Athena. That's my mom." From there, the kids were at liberty to have fun on set. They were not at liberty to have fun on set if you were instantly racializing everything. Like...
Yeah, it's like, it's also like, maybe this comes from a point of like growing up as a white Westerner in America, but like the idea that you have to physically look like a person to identify with them is just kind of crazy to me.
I mean, I guess the equivalent would be if there were a Western TV show being made about African mythology with African characters and a white person was on it.
They would never do that, though.
But they would never do that because it never goes the other way around, which is why race swapping bothers me so much. It is anti-white. It is. Diversity is about getting rid of white people. It's not about inclusion. And... I mean, that's just inexcusable to me. It's not about finding the best person for the job.
To the kids, it'll become about that later. But those kids might not see it that way. Those kids might buy into the lie.
Yeah, I mean, they're too young to know better. It's fine. I mean, they're literally middle schoolers who are too young to know better. They're getting indoctrinated so early on that they're going to be foot soldiers for this ideology for life.
It's another reason why you should not go and attack them now, because it's going to reinforce the perspective that's going to be beat into them later anyways. There's no reason to attack a 12 or a 13-year-old kid because they took a job. Also, at the end of the day, I'm like, look, somebody offers you the job, you take the job.
I don't feel any type of way about these kids saying what they said. They're being asked leading questions. They're being fed a narrative. They don't know any better. They're being isolated from the real world. If you're an adult who is playing a character on Rings of Power or on a Star Wars show or a Marvel show or what have you, and you are the one pushing these narratives, yeah, you're going to get pushback. You deserve it.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.